There's just so many different benefits to travel, and it's just really highlighting and using strategically, kind of intentionally travel as that vehicle to help people with whatever it is that they're in need of.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Going in-network with insurance can be tough. For example, waiting a year to get credentialed in some cases. Filing all of the right paperwork is time-consuming and tedious, and even after you're done, it could take months to get credentialed and start seeing clients. That's why Alma makes it easy and financially rewarding to accept insurance. When you join the insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. Once you've joined Alma's insurance program, you can see clients in your state of licensure regardless of where you're working from. This is particularly exciting for me as a traveling therapist, as I know it is probably for you too. You can literally be anywhere and still see your clients through Alma. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. Really excited today to have Sahara Rose De Vore here. I hope I said her name correctly. She's not a therapist, but she's got a really unique, cool aspect to traveling. And I just would love to have you, Sahara, just talk about what brings you here, a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into this really cool niche that you have and how you can help traveling therapists.
Yeah, thank you, Kim, so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. As we all know, we're here because we love travel and we love helping people. And what better way than to use travel as that kind of tool to help people? So I'm Sahara Rose De Vore. I'm the founder of the Travel Coach Network. We are the world's first and only platform and host and owners of the Travel Coach certification program, which is ICF accredited. And unlike travel agents who focus on the planning and booking phase of a trip, a travel coach is someone who helps people bring awareness to why they want to travel, set intentions for their trips so that they can really use travel as that vessel or that tool to help them reach whatever goals they might have, or that transformation or that change or that certain outcome or feelings that they really are looking for when they're in the planning and searching phase of a trip in the first place.
That's so cool. So I wonder if we could just like walk through like a case example. Like, what would your ideal person that would come to you, what would they come to you with as a problem, I guess, and say, help me do this? Like, what could you maybe just take us through the whole transformation for somebody and how that works?
Absolutely. So when we think of like therapy itself, and you're kind of reaching the person at the point of, their struggles, their need, their pain points. And it's the same thing with a travel coach as well. Every travel coach focuses on a different niche because travel means something different to them, or they can relate to travel in a different way. So, for example, in my travel coach network, we have travel coaches who, for example, help women coping with loss or grief, use travel as a way to find themselves again, to find what joy and happiness means in their life after such a traumatic life event and a loss. We have, and they go on their first solo adventure and they find this new sense of, confidence, and maybe they meet a new person, because these are all the things that travel can do for us. But not everyone's aware of that. We, as travel experts, we're passionate travelers. We know just how, important and powerful travel can be, but not the average person might not know that. So
Mm-hmm.
they might not realize that, I'm going through this in my life, or this, happened to me, or I'm struggling with this. They might not see travel as that outlet as we understand and believe that it can be, because it's either happened to us or happened, someone that we know, so that we are helping them have their own travel experiences that can really change them. I have
That's cool.
another example, or other travel coaches who use travel to help maybe women in life at a crossroads. So they've been working in the corporate life, in the corporate world. They're just not happy. They've been putting all their time and energy into a job that doesn't fulfill them and doesn't, reciprocate that back to them. And they're using travel as this time to find clarity and find, what are my next steps in life? Empty nesters is another thing, women at a place where they're like, what do I do with my life now? Who am I when my children out of the household? And so traveling, so there's travel coaches who throw retreats or group
Oh,
trips,
wow.
sailing
Mm-hmm.
trips for women at those point in their life that, come together and just help one another while having these incredible travel experiences.
That's so cool. So the travel coach would essentially, maybe not a therapist, but at least a life coach, I guess, is there. You guys are trained with these skills to like
Mhm,
recognize, okay, grief, like what do we know are the medically based interventions that really help people with grief? And how do we incorporate that into a travel experience
mhm.
to help them not only appreciate travel, but also like have this transformative experience while they're on this amazing trip that we're gonna like help them plan and prepare for.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hmm.
I like that you kind of pointed that out with like the life coaching versus the therapist. Of course, there's quite a difference.
Mhm.
During the pandemic in the UK in particular, and this is something that they still do, there's a lot of physicians and therapists that were prescribing time in nature for patients who are struggling with anxiety and depression. So when we think of the power of blue and green spaces, so being near bodies of water or being in parks or in forests or gardens, that they were prescribing their patients who were in, looking for a mental well-being boost.
Mhm.
And that's something that I relate to so much. When I started my journey around the world to 84 countries, I started at a point where I was not happy with my own life, and I didn't know. I was struggling with depression and anxiety. I was 22 years old after I graduated university, and I was like, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? I know going into a corporate route and climbing the ladder and sitting in this cubicle and having someone tell me I can or can't go on a vacation when I want to
Yeah.
was not
Oh,
going to change how I am feeling right now. I didn't know travel was going to really help me, but I took that first solo trip to Europe, and I was like, wow, travel is something that is really feeding me. I want to keep on going. And then I
mhm.
learned, through others what travel was doing for them too.
So just shifting for a second, did you say 84 countries that you've
Yes,
traveled to?
I've traveled to
That's
84
amazing.
countries.
So are you a nomad or do you just like, or do you go back to home base and then you take a trip to a country that you're interested in or that maybe you love?
Yeah, so I feel like it was a lifetime ago, but yes, I traveled for a decade
Oh,
starting
wow.
in 2010, and I came back home at the beginning of the pandemic. So I now have a different life. I am now a new mom and married and all of these other things, running my business. But yeah, back then there was the rise of the digital nomad. I was a digital nomad. I didn't ever work while I traveled. I am an only child, so I would come back home and see my mom during the holidays, or I'd come back and repack my bag for a colder climate or a warmer climate. But I would just book one-way tickets and just backpack regions of the world in chunks. And then when I was ready I would always look at my bank account, see where it's at. And I started learning like how long I could go on an X amount of a budget.
Mhm.
And I come back home and then I would work the flexible jobs I had, or work restaurant jobs or babysitting jobs, or really every job under the sun I've worked just to make some more money, and saved it all. And that's how I was able to fund my travels and then also bootstrap my own business.
That is really cool. Yeah, that used to be my dilemma. I would see a million clients a week and then I would, cram them all in and then I would take a week off and then, and then work for 3 weeks, cram them all in. And, so eventually I evolved to this digital nomad thing where I could do it all at the same time, which has been really great for me. But yeah, I'm sure working in this field, you realize everybody's got different types of travel styles and needs
Mhm.
based on their lifestyle and that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's kind of cool to hear that you have that experience of both being out there in the world constantly and then also being grounded in a place and being able to just take the trips that you want to take too, while having a family and a business and all of that. That's really neat to hear.
Yeah, travel looks different to me now. I travel now for conferences or meetings or, or with my family now. But back then, one of the reasons why I didn't work while I traveled was because despite I had a degree in hospitality and tourism management,
Hmm.
I had no idea what I wanted to do for a career. I
Yeah.
knew of what existed, of what I learned about in my university. And then I was living in Chicago at the time when I graduated, which is a huge destination for hospitality and tourism.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to work in a hotel. I don't want to be a flight attendant. I don't want to plan and book trips for people. It just isn't my thing. I don't like it.
Hmm.
I had anxiety. I was like, what if something goes wrong and I book someone the wrong flight or whatnot? And I just this whole list. And then as I was traveling, there was the rise of technology and social media. So new jobs came about in the world of travel, like blogging or the term of a travel agent really evolved to, travel designer, all these other names, retreat leaders. I was like, but I don't want to do any of this. Travel influencers. I said, what else can there be? And so I gifted myself that decade of just traveling and enjoying my travels. And that's why
Hmm.
I didn't have a laptop or a device other than a phone with me until, towards, I said, when I'm 30. When I'm 30, I'll figure out my life. And 30 came about, and that was the first time I had a tablet to go with me. And that's when I started researching, like, how to start an online business and what does
Hmm.
that look like.
Yeah, and then the Travel Coach Network was born, I guess, from all of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so I
really
started
neat.
as a wellness travel coach myself. So when
Okay.
I started in 2018, that was when I turned 30. And so I was like, what can there be in I didn't know about the online coaching world in general. It
Hmm.
wasn't something
Hmm.
I ever looked to. I wasn't exposed to it. I didn't know many people who were life coaches, health coaches. It just wasn't my thing. But when I started researching how to start an online business, Facebook started pushing business coaches towards me and life coaches towards me. And I
Hmm.
said, wow, this coaching industry is really booming.
Yeah.
And something inside me clicked. And I said, I want to be a travel coach. Never saw it, didn't know what it could be. But for me, I've always kind of paved my own path in life. And so I said, well, what kind of travel coach do I want to be? And I cared more about wellness in the corporate space in terms of why companies were not valuing travel or vacation days for their
Mm.
employees because of all of the people I met traveling and heard about quitting the 9 to 5, quit the 9 to 5 to travel the world, quit the corporate
Mhm.
job. It became like a tagline. And I said, why are companies not valuing travel in the workspace? And so I branched into that and business travel,
Ah.
wellness. And that was when I started my business. So I still run my wellness travel coaching business. But shortly after I started posting about travel coaching online, I had others saying, what's a travel coach? Where can I learn about it? Where'd you learn about it? And again, something inside me clicked and I said, I started the Travel Coach Network and been building that. So it's about 5.5, 6 years now.
Wow.
So it's been quite the journey.
Managing a successful private practice can be challenging, even if you have all the skills and experience you need to support clients. Most training programs offer little to no guidance on running your own business. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join Alma, you can get credentialed with major insurance payers within 45 days, as well as guaranteed payment within 2 weeks of each session. You can also attract clients who are the right fit for your practice with a free profile in Alma's searchable directory. As you build your caseload, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients. Visit helloalma.com/Kim to download your free guide to identifying and connecting with clients who are the right fit for your practice. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get your guide. That's so cool. And for the listeners here, a lot of the listeners on this podcast are like multi-passionate entrepreneurs. So they often have like side hustles or even coaching businesses like I do, so we're therapists, but we're also coaches. So I'm super curious, what is the process if somebody's listening, they're a therapist, but they're like, God, I want to get into this travel coaching. Like how would they work with you? Like, what does that look like if they wanted to maybe add this to their repertoire, like to help other travelers and be a
Yeah,
coach
we've
about it?
had, especially during the pandemic or since the pandemic, we've had such a surplus of different types of careers come into travel coaching. So everyone from pharmacists to, of course, life and health coaches, retreat leaders, travel agents, of course, but even medical experts too. So the travel coach certification program is our flagship program. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an International Coach Federation accredited program. It's the world's first and only one. And it's a traditional program, pre-recorded modules. We have online trainings, group trainings, and it's a community as well. So it's a way for people to learn how they can incorporate travel coaching into either their current role or start and grow their own unique travel coaching business.
That is really awesome. I know you guys listening are probably like, oh, I could do that. So, like you said, I guess a lot of these travel coaches have their niches, like, especially, I think would be super interesting for therapists that already have niches. Like, how can I expand that out into what I'm already working with? So, if I'm an anxiety specialist and I know you've got tons of anxiety, let's plan a trip around how to manage your anxiety and make your life easier, that kind of thing. Like there's just
Yeah,
so many ways to expand upon that, I would think. Yeah.
yeah, there's so many because when we think about what I call the elements of travel, but they're just these aspects of travel that can really benefit us. And there's decades and decades of research on out there on this. And that's what I spent the first year and a half of my own wellness travel coaching business really researching was these emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, social, intellectual wellness benefits of travel. So things like I mentioned, blue and green spaces and time in nature, but also things like the power of human connection, what getting out of your comfort zone or challenging yourself or doing something different can really do for us as individuals, boosting our confidence, self-awareness, self-discovery. These are all things that travel. You can Google it. There's going to be tons of information and articles and everything out there on each one of these kind of categories. And, the social interaction, and these are all why we travel anyways. We just don't bring awareness to it. So as a therapist or a medical expert, you can whatever it is that you do focus on, if it's anxiety, if it's depression, take a look at, what are things that travel can do that a destination could offer. So, why should someone go and relax on a beach? Well, there's a lot of research behind, being near bodies of water,
Mm.
breathing in the salty sea air, feeling exercising all of your senses and feeling the sand beneath your feet, exploring and being in a place that is different and breaking the routine that you usually have. So there's just so many different benefits to travel. And it's just really highlighting and using strategically, kind of intentionally travel as that vehicle to help people with whatever it is that they're in need of.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. My mind just gets rolling. I'm like, there's so much you could really do with this. Yeah. So would a travel coach also be like sort of a concierge, like helping with booking travel and stuff, or is that something you then outsource to like a travel agent or something that I guess you guys probably work with travel agents or something?
Yeah, that's a
Just
great
curious.
question. So there are many travel agents who combine travel coaching with how they work with and serve their clients. And as
Oh.
you know, being a travel agent, travel advisor, it's a whole different training to be able to book trips for someone. You have to have different certifications, different access to different portals, databases. So that's not something we do. We're not a travel agency, but
Hmm.
with that said, we have many travel agents who do combine it. Or if people are just travel coaches or another field that are not a travel agent, we do have connections or partnerships, or you can collaborate with someone already in the travel coach network to be able to have that referral over to them so that they can do the booking for you.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So it sort of walks you through how to help the person from point A to point B, basically with the coaching and then the setting up the travel if somebody wants you to do that for them too, which I'm sure is super helpful to just have the whole thing taken care of for you.
Yeah, and some
Yeah.
people do focus on helping people, empowering and teaching them how they can do it themselves. You know,
Oh,
there's
yeah, that makes
a, lo-
sense.
a lot. I know when I was a solo traveler, a lot of people were like, "Well, how did you find these deals? How did you, stay within your budget? Or what websites do you use? Or, what, accommodation type of accommodations do you stay at?" So sometimes people want that knowledge of how can I take control over my own planning, because there's a lot of research out there, and I quoted this in my TED Talk years ago, but there is research that says how the planning phase has the highest spike in happiness for a trip, which I find super interesting. And when you think
Yeah.
about it, it's so true. Like the anticipation of going on a trip, the planning, the researching. So in the TCN, we're big believers to put control and power back into the hands of the traveler in some degree, so that they can have that sense of heightened, enlightenment, and extend the joy of the entire travel journey.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, it true. I mean, I'm a nomad, so we're like literally planning the next trip every time we're on a trip anyway, because we don't, we just have to go from place to place. But it definitely there is like a anticipation that feels super exciting about the next place, and it doesn't always like unfold the way you think it's going to. It's still usually super great, but I definitely think there's that apex. This is going to be awesome. This is so fun. So that's cool to hear that you empower people to do that and like put it back in their hands so they can really feel that and get that high or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
neat.
I mean, every trip is going to be different. Every experience is different for someone. I know when I was traveling, I'd hear about a destination or a place from one person who absolutely loved it, and then I went there. I'm like, I don't really see what the joy is. But then there's places that I really absolutely love that like are so off the beaten path that no one even would think about. So being able to help people make those decisions for themselves and learn and grow, and these are skills too, being able to plan your own travels and find destination. These are all things that people can grow their confidence in and take and roll over into other fields too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. So I'm trying to think what else, from the entrepreneurial perspective of a therapist, what does the program look like? I'd just love to tell, like, is it, 6 weeks or this program that you offer, how long is it and what's the investment and that sort of thing? If,
Yeah.
time wise.
Yeah, so it's 9 pre-recorded modules, and
Okay.
they're dripped out over 2.5 to 3 months. Is a very robust business program, so it's not only focusing on the coaching aspect and the travel aspect, but it's also a business program. We don't like to leave any rocks unturned for people, because we know that building a business with the marketing, with figuring out your niche, figuring out who your clientele are, how do you get clients, all of these different things. And that's why we offer ongoing trainings, lifetime ongoing trainings every month
Mm.
for members to hop on and join if they want to, but then also opportunities for networking to connect and collaborate with one another. We
Mhm.
bring in different coaches to do practice coaching sessions so people feel confident to be able to exercise their coaching skills, and then different experts and travel coaches to share what they do in their business. So, how do you create your revenue streams? How do you price your offers? How do you hold a coaching session? Because again, business looks different to everyone, and we are big believers that like, there's not one way to do things,
I love
but
that.
there are different options for you. So you have to build the business that gets you up and happy and wanting to work on every single day. So what does that look like for yourself? And so, yeah, and then once people are finished with the program, we do have a final assessment for them to do. It's written and it's multiple choice, it's written, and then once they also have a capstone project that they get an option of 4 different options of what kind of project they want to submit in. It just shows a little bit more of their knowledge and understanding of not only coaching, but also of business. And then they become a certified travel coach. We're the only
Huh.
organization that certifies travel coaches.
That is really cool. Yeah. So big question, how do people work with you if they want to, especially the therapist listening that might want to like add this arm onto what they're already doing with clients and coaching clients?
Yeah, well, you can find us on the travelcoachnetwork.com. That's where we go to any of the sections that say become a certified travel coach. And you can learn more about what the program, you can hear what other members had to say, what they learned from it, what results they got out of it. We just have tons, we get messages all the time from our members unwarranted, which just makes me so happy, just
Oh, I
how
love
this
that.
program really just changed them. And knowing that we created something that has helped people in so many different ways has really been something that we just are, really, really proud of. And we continue to always make it the best product that we can. We're always learning and asking from our members, what else would you like? What else do you need help in? What else needs clarity? But then, yeah, so the travelcoachnetwork.com, and you can find us across our platforms on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at the Travel Coach Network, or you can find myself, which I'm under Sahara Rose, the Travel Coach on all of the socials.
Oh, I think I follow you. I need to make sure I do. Yeah. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And do you have like a directory of people that are certified travel coaches that have gone through your program?
We've
Or,
added some onto the certification
oh,
program
okay.
page, so you can go and see some of them and some of their titles. And then we do have a really great global community on Facebook. So we have over 3,000 members in there. So
Wow.
it's a nice place for people to come. We are always dropping different free trainings and free resources in there. If you join our mailing list, same thing. We're always providing as much value as we can, whether you're a paying member or not, because the world of travel coaching is really on the rise, and we're here to be in the forefront to helping people really create a business and help people use their passion for travel in a way that truly changes the lives of others.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Thanks for bringing this to our
You.
awareness and offering such a really cool program. I know the therapists are going to love this. It's just like a no-brainer to add this, especially for the traveling therapists that just are already doing this thing and living these travel lifestyles. I mean, this is like a no-brainer to add this like certification on and expand into coaching, especially for therapists that are like tired of the one-to-one kind of therapy model and want to like branch out and do some other things in their lives. So this is super cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to all the listeners, we'll put all the links in the show notes so you can reach out to Sahara and figure out how to work with her if you want to, or grab one of her travel coaches to help you go start traveling and have like a therapeutic kind of process involved with it too. I think it's a really awesome combination, really imaginative and creative way to help people. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.